to conceal video and power cables inside a metal parking lot lighting pole. Firstly, remove the existing top cap. The top cap on the lighting pole typically has a removable section, which should be removed carefully to expose the inside of the pole. Secondly, install a cable pass-through grommet. Drill a small hole near the top of the pole and insert a cable pass-through grommet. This will protect the cables from sharp edges and prevent moisture ingress. Thirdly, route the video cable inside flexible conduit. Use flexible conduit, such as polyvinyl chloride or corrugated sleeving, to protect the video cables. Route the video cables through the grommet and down the inside of the pole. Fourthly, run the power cable inside metal-clad cable. Flexible metal conduit is ideal for protecting power cables from damage and providing a moisture-resistant barrier. Route the power cables for the lighting through the same grommet and down the inside of the pole alongside the video cables. Fifthly, seal the grommet. Once the cables are routed, use silicone or other appropriate sealant to seal the grommet, preventing any moisture or debris entry. The advantages of this method are it hides all cables within the pole, maintaining a clean and aesthetic appearance. It also protects cables from the elements and potential damage, and complies with building codes that may require concealed wiring. Ensure all cables are of appropriate gauge and meet electrical code requirements. Use weather-resistant sealant and materials to prevent moisture ingress. If the pole is not accessible for internal cable routing, consider using a junction box at the base of the pole to conceal the cables. It's critical to always energize any electrical circuits you will be working around and to use personal protective equipment suitable for the task at hand. When selecting a power cable, ensure that the wire gauge is appropriate for the amperage that will be drawn by the CCTV camera and any other devices powered by that circuit. Refer to the National Electrical Code Table 310.15b16 or similar tables in your local electrical code to determine the appropriate wire gauge for the given amperage and conductor temperature rating. For example, if the CCTV camera draws 1 amp and the circuit is wired with type THHN copper conductors with an insulation rating of 90 degrees Celsius, you might choose 14 American wire gauge wire, which is rated for 15 amps. However, always consult the relevant electrical codes and consider any directing factors that may apply. Select a metal-clad cable with a sufficient number of conductors to accommodate the hot, neutral, and grounding wires required for the circuit. The metal-clad cable should also be appropriately sized for the amperage of the circuit. The grounding wire is essential for safety and should be properly connected to the grounding system. Ensure that the flexible conduit used for the video cable is suitable for outdoor use and is resistant to ultraviolet light and moisture. The flexible conduit should be sized appropriately to accommodate the number of video cables being run. When drilling the hole for the cable pass-through grommet, use a drill bit that is slightly larger than the outside diameter of the grommet. This will ensure snug fit and prevent moisture from entering the pole. Before inserting the cables through the grommet, inspect them for any signs of damage or wear. Replace any damaged cables before proceeding. When routing the cables down the inside of the pole, use cable ties or other means to secure them to the pole. This will prevent the cables from moving around and potentially becoming damaged. Be careful not to over-tighten the cable ties, as this could damage the cables. When sealing the grommet, use a sealant that is specifically designed for outdoor use and is resistant to ultraviolet light and moisture. Apply the sealant liberally to ensure a watertight seal. After the installation is complete, test the CCTV cameras to ensure that they are functioning properly. Check the video quality and make sure that the cameras are properly aimed and focused. Periodically inspect the installation to ensure that the cables are still properly protected and that the sealant is still intact. If you notice any signs of damage or wear, take steps to repair the installation as soon as possible. Consider the environment the pole is in, such as if it is in a coastal or other corrosive environment, and utilize materials that are made to withstand such conditions. This will ensure a long-lasting installation. Additionally, if the pole is in an area that is prone to vandalism, you may want to consider using vandal-resistant hardware and materials. When working with electrical systems, always follow safe work practices and adhere to all applicable electrical codes. If you are not comfortable working with electricity, consult a qualified electrician. Always use the correct tools for the job. This will help to prevent damage to the equipment and ensure a safe and professional installation. Before starting any work, disconnect the power to the lighting pole, the circuit breaker, or disconnect switch. Verify that the power is off using a voltmeter or other suitable testing device. Tag the circuit breaker or disconnect switch to prevent someone from accidentally turning the power back on while you are working. Wear appropriate personal protective equipment, such as safety glasses, gloves, and a hard hat. Use insulated tools to prevent electrical shock. Work in a well-lit area and keep your work area clean and organized. Avoid working in wet or damp conditions. Be aware of your surroundings and watch out for potential hazards such as traffic, pedestrians, and overhead power lines. If you are working at heights, use a ladder or scaffolding that is in good condition and is properly secured. Follow all ladder safety guidelines. Never work alone. Have someone nearby who can assist you in case of an emergency. If you are unsure about any aspect of the installation, consult a qualified electrician. Double-check all connections to ensure they are tight and properly made. A loose connection can cause a fire hazard. Use appropriately rated connectors for all wire splices. Do not use wire nuts for outdoor connections. Protect all outdoor connections from the elements by using weatherproof connectors or enclosures. Ensure that all equipment is properly grounded. This will help to prevent electrical shock. After completing the installation, inspect it thoroughly to ensure that it is safe and compliant with all applicable codes. Document the installation, including the location of the cables, the type of materials used, and the date of installation. Keep this documentation in a safe place for future reference. Regularly inspect the installation to ensure that it is still in good condition. Repair any damage or wear as soon as possible. By following these guidelines, you can safely and effectively conceal video and power cables inside a metal parking lot lighting pole for CCTV cameras. Remember to always prioritize safety and consult with a qualified electrician if you have any questions or concerns. Consider the total load on the lighting circuit and make sure the addition of the camera does not exceed the capacity of the circuit. If the circuit is already near its maximum capacity, it may be necessary to run a new circuit for the camera. Make sure the camera is properly grounded to prevent electrical shock. Connect the camera's ground wire to the grounding electrode system of the building or structure. If the camera has a built-in surge protector, make sure it is properly connected. Surge protectors can help to protect the camera from damage caused by lightning strikes or other electrical surges. Use a weatherproof enclosure for the camera and its connections. This will help to protect the camera from the elements and prevent water damage. Consider using a wireless camera system instead of running cables. Wireless cameras can be easier to install and can be moved around more easily. However, wireless cameras may be more vulnerable to interference and may not provide the same level of security as wired cameras. Use a high-quality video cable to ensure a clear and reliable video signal. Coaxial cable is a good choice for video signals, but it can be difficult to run through conduit. Category 5E or Category 6 cable can also be used for video signals, and it is easier to run through conduit. However, Category 5E or Category 6 cable requires the use of balance to convert the video signal to and from a twisted pair format. Test the video signal after the installation is complete to ensure that it is clear and reliable. Check the video signal at both the camera and the recording device. If the video signal is weak or distorted, check the connections and the cable. In some cases, it may be necessary to use a video amplifier to boost the video signal. Secure all cables and connections to prevent them from being damaged by wind, rain, or other environmental factors. Use cable ties, clamps, or other fasteners to secure the cables to the pole, conduit, or other structures. Make sure the cables are not rubbing against any sharp edges or surfaces. Protect the cables from being damaged by rodents or other animals. Use rodent-resistant cable or conduit to protect the cables from being chewed on. You can also use traps or other methods to control rodents in the area. Consider using a junction box at the base of the pole to conceal the cables. A junction box can provide a convenient and secure location for connecting the cables. The junction box should be weatherproof and should be large enough to accommodate all of the cables and connections. The junction box should be mounted securely to the pole or to a concrete pad. All wire connections should be performed to the manufacturer's specifications. This ensures a reliable and long-lasting installation. All electrical work should be performed by a qualified electrician. Electrical work can be dangerous, and it is important to take all necessary safety precautions. A qualified electrician will have the knowledge and experience to perform the work safely and correctly. Comply with all applicable electrical codes and regulations. Electrical codes and regulations are designed to protect people and property from electrical hazards. It is important to comply with all applicable codes and regulations when performing electrical work. Check with your local building department to see if a permit is required for the installation. A permit may be required for electrical work, and it is important to obtain a permit before starting the work. Ensure the concrete base of the pole is structurally sound and can support the additional weight of the camera and any associated hardware. Consider the wind load in the pole after adding the camera, especially in areas prone to high winds. You may need to consult with a structural engineer to ensure the pole can withstand the additional wind load. Before drilling any holes in the pole, check for any existing wiring or other utilities that may be located inside the pole. Use a stud finder or other device to locate any hidden objects before drilling. If you find any existing wiring or other utilities, contact a qualified electrician or other professional to help you relocate or avoid them. When drilling holes in the pole, use a drill bit that is specifically designed for drilling metal. Use a slow speed and apply steady pressure to avoid damaging the pole or the drill bit. After drilling the holes, deburr the edges to prevent the cables from being damaged. Be sure to use a UV-rated cable for the camera installation because sunlight deteriorates some cable jacket materials over time. Using UV-rated cable extends the life of the installation. In colder climates, ensure that the cable selected is rated for the expected cold temperatures in your region. Cables can become brittle and crack in extreme cold. The same applies to hot temperatures. Ensure the cable is rated for the expected hot temperatures in your region. Cables can soften and deform in extreme heat. Consider using Power over Ethernet cameras, often referred to as PoE cameras, to reduce the number of wires being run. PoE cameras receive both power and data over a single Ethernet cable. This can simplify the installation and reduce the number of wires that need to be run. However, PoE cameras require a PoE switch or injector to provide power to the camera. If the existing lighting pole has a photocell, consider the impact of the camera installation on the photocell's operation. The camera or its wiring may cast a shadow on the photocell, causing it to turn the lights on and off at inappropriate times. If this is a concern, you may need to relocate the photocell or use a different type of lighting control. Consider adding a service loop of cable at the top and bottom of the pole. A service loop is an extra length of cable that is coiled up and stored in a safe location. The service loop can be used to repair or replace the cable if it is damaged or needs to be moved. The service loop should be long enough to allow the cable to be repaired or replaced without having to run a new cable from scratch. Use appropriate surge protection for both the power and video cables. Surge protection can help to protect the camera and other equipment from damage caused by lightning strikes or other electrical surges. The surge protection devices should be installed as close as possible to the camera and other equipment. Regularly inspect the installation to ensure that it is still in good condition. Check the cables for any signs of damage or wear and make sure the connections are still tight. If you find any problems, repair them as soon as possible. Keep a record of all maintenance and repairs that are performed on the installation. This record can be used to track the performance of the installation and to identify any potential problems. The installation of CCTV cameras on a lighting pole can be a complex project, and it is important to take all necessary safety precautions and follow all applicable codes and regulations. If you are not comfortable performing the work yourself, it is best to hire a qualified electrician or other professional to do the job. When selecting an electrician for the project, be sure to check their qualifications and experience. Ask for references and review their past work. Make sure they are licensed and insured, and that they are familiar with the applicable electrical codes and regulations. Get a written estimate from the electrician before starting the work. The estimate should include a detailed breakdown of the costs, including labor, materials, and permits. Be sure to ask about any potential additional costs that may arise during the project. Review the estimate carefully before signing it. Be sure to understand all of the terms and conditions of the contract. Ask the electrician any questions you have before signing the contract. Be sure to keep a copy of the contract for your records. Monitor the electrician's work to ensure that it is being performed correctly. If you have any concerns, address them with the electrician immediately. Do not hesitate to ask questions or to request changes to the work. Be sure to obtain all necessary permits before starting the work. Permits are required for many types of electrical work, and it is important to obtain a permit before starting the work. The permit process ensures that the work is being performed safely and correctly. Schedule a final inspection after the work is complete. A final inspection is performed by the local building department to ensure that the work has been performed in accordance with the applicable codes and regulations. The inspection is typically required before the electrical service can be turned on. By following these tips, you can ensure that the installation of CCTV cameras on a lighting pole is performed safely and correctly. Remember to always prioritize safety and to consult with a qualified professional if you have any questions or concerns.